February is Heart Month, an excellent time to turn our attention to our tickers. Merritt Bates Thomas of Green River District Health Department is back to talk about heart health. Good morning.
Good morning, Angie.
Well, this month and beyond, this isn't a topic that has to be discussed with men and women.
It's the month we observe it.
Yes.
But it's really important for us every day of the year, as is just overall good general wellness. Heart disease is the leading cause of death for Americans. And while we can't completely prevent it, there are things we can do to improve our quality of life. So statistically, if you look at things, 1 in 5 Americans died of a cardiovascular related illness in 2021.
That's a very sobering statistic right there. Yeah.
And every 33 seconds, someone is having some sort of cardiovascular related event. So it's pretty significant. And when it leads the pack the way it does, you kind of pause and take notice of it.
Right, right. Well, and what should we be talking about with our healthcare providers? I mean, do we need to start having this conversation in our 30s and 40s? Or is it something that comes on our radar?
I think as young adults, and young adults don't want to hear this, but to be mindful in at any stage of our lives.
Right.
It's never too late to make the changes. I think the key thing to keep in mind is broad spectrum impacts all of us. Regardless of gender, it impacts men and women, maybe men more frequently, but it's the leading cause of death for both men and women. Racial and ethnic disparities too. So we've got to look from a health equity lens and perspective at things.
Right.
And making sure we're leveling the playing field for access to care and availability of the services needed to better diagnose and inform and educate. You can't change what you don't know.
Absolutely. And, you know, and especially if you have your head stuck in the sand and you don't want to know it until you finally get that blood test and your cholesterol's high or you're pre-diabetic or diabetic.
Right. Well, and I think the thing to keep in mind too when we're talking in terms of health equity, there are those social determinants of health. It's where we live, learn, work, play, pray. All of those factors really play into points of contact. But related to social determinants of health too, if we're worried about other things in our life, paying the bills, keeping a roof over our heads, our transportation, the last thing on our minds many times is whether or not we need to go get that checkup, and especially if it's going to be money out of our pockets to pay for a portion of it or maybe all of it. So important conversations around access to both care and to coverage for the care we receive. Ways to really make an impact though, looking at the foods we eat, choosing as wisely as we can, moving as much as we can, reasonably for any of us, getting plenty of rest, staying hydrated, you know, supporting each other too. I think the key thing about community and any of the topics we talk about, if one of us is suffering from something, then whether we realize it or not, the impact is truly on all of us at some point. So it really bears on mind that we need to work with each other to seek the solutions to these issues.
Well, and what you do at your work and your team of people, our health departments here, there's all kinds of great free information.
And you're running these pointers throughout the month too as well. So just soaking in some of that timely advice, knowing your numbers. You know, we look at things like knowing what your blood sugar is, what your blood pressure is, what your cholesterol is. And so many times we fixate or we focus on a particular number. It's about having that conversation with your healthcare provider to know what's ideal for you.
Thank you, Merritt, as always.
Thank you.
We'll be back with more lifestyles right after this. Stick around.